Who is in the chamber? Jim? Oh, okay. 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 So 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone, to the Community and Economic Development Authority meeting for April 22nd, 2021. So the first order in the agenda is to call to order and the roll calls, please.
Arata Frada,
Yeah.
Cleary, Gaius
Here.
Bailiff, Hamilton,
Here.
Hardy. I could have swore I saw Dan on there. Okay, Potts and Williams.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. So the second item in the agenda is introduction to a member. We have a new member in our in SIDA committee. So the first thing, we are gonna introduce ourselves. So I'm gonna go from the people that I have in front of my screen. So I'm gonna go with Mark first.
Morning, I'm Mark Hamilton. I am retired from UW Health. I have been a Fitchburg resident for almost 30 years now, and I am also just I'm on the Chamber Board, Chamber of Commerce Board, and the Bicycle Committee. So welcome.
Thank you. And next is Dan Hardy.
Hi, my name is Dan Hardy. I'm an attorney. I have been for almost 50 years. I've been with CEDA or its predecessors for about 30 years.
Okay. Wow, Dan. Thank you for your services. Okay. Next, Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Clary. I am a Fitchburg resident and I also serve on the Housing Authority Committee, and I am a local appraiser in the Madison area.
Thank you, Jennifer. Andrew.
I'm Andy Potts. I'm a former alder, Fitchburg resident for 41 years, also serve on the Bike Committee. And then in my day job, I'm a budget and policy manager with the state of Wisconsin.
Okay, we have Joe Maldonado. That is going to be his last meeting with CEDA today. So, Joe.
Hello, everybody. Joe Maldonado. I'm on the Common Council. I represent District 1. Had a pleasure serving on CEDA, but now I'm moving over to Housing Committee.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And then we have our new member, Jim, that is in the chamber. Jim can introduce you to the group. And welcome to CEDA.
Yes, I'm Jim Wheeler. I'm the District 4 Alder. I'm a retired captain from the Madison Police Department after 27 and a half years and been a Fitchburg resident for 23 years.
Okay, welcome. So, and then we're going to do the introduction for the guest when it's your turn to speak, the presentation, okay? Any question for Jim? No?
Welcome, okay. Jim.
Thank you.
There is another member, Ana Gallegos, that is, I don't know, have you received an email, Joyce?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, so thank you and welcome to Jim to the group. So the next topic in the agenda is the election of officer that we have to do every year. So how is going to make this happen? Do we need to put a motion on the table?
Usually there's a nomination.
Yeah. If there is a nomination on the table, currently I am the chair and Andy Pott is the vice chair. I don't know if there is any nomination on the table.
Is there any restriction on repetitive positions?
I did check that out yesterday, Dan, and according to our ordinance, you can serve for 2 terms. So as an elected officer, and I think, Julia, is this your second term? I believe it is.
My second.
Yeah, so we would need to have a new chair.
Okay.
Then I
Joyce, I've got a-
nominate Andrew.
Actually, I had a question on that, Joyce. Does that apply to CETA? Because CETA is an authority. I haven't checked the ordinances and I don't have them right in front of me, but I thought it made reference to committees and commissions and boards, but not authorities.
But when I read through it, I think I read through the CETA ordinance too, and I
Okay.
didn't see anything that referenced the officer. So I would assume that
Can you send me the ordinance name so I can check, because I wasn't aware of that?
Because I know otherwise, like alders aren't allowed to serve as chairs either, but we're exempted from that being an authority.
Well, then Joyce, why don't we move on while you send that to everybody?
Yeah. Okay, so let's have this to the end of the agenda. Okay, can we move this to the end of the agenda for now?
You're the chair.
Okay, I'm gonna move it to the end of the agenda, okay? Thank you. The next item on our agenda is resolution and ordinance. We don't have anyone in front of us, so the first, we have two speakers today, two organizations. So the first one is Destination Madison and the Madison Area Sport Commission. They are going to provide an update. They usually do it every year. We have with us Ellie Westman-Chin, Diane Morgan-Taylor, and Jamie Patrick with us today. So, okay, so welcome. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, and then you have your presentation ready.
I do. I'm Diane Morgenthaler. I'm the Executive Vice President of Destination Madison. And I would like to just turn it over to Ellie Westman-Chin, who is our new CEO, and let her introduce herself.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation to join you this morning. I appreciate it. I look forward to getting to know each of you, but I'm Ellie Westman-Chin, came on as a new president and CEO of Destination Madison in early February. This is my fourth Convention and Visitors Bureau. I started my career in Nashville at the Convention and Visitors Bureau there, and I've also had the opportunity to work in Atlanta and most recently back in Middle Tennessee and Franklin. So I've been in tourism and tourism promotion my whole career, and I really look forward to exploring and getting to know the Madison region. And, I've been out to Fitchburg. I went out a couple weekends ago and just tooled around to get to know the city a little bit, but I look forward to, once we're unmasked and can get out a little bit more, just learning more about what you all are doing and how we can continue to partner together. So thanks again for having us this morning.
And Jamie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jamie Patrick, the Vice President of the Madison Area Sports Commission, and it's good to see everybody again today. It's been, as you said earlier, a long time, and we're happy to be back and working with you again.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hopefully everyone can see the screen at this point. And we will get going. I'm going to start off and then turn it over to a little bit to Ellie and to Jamie to fill in some areas of what we're up to. But I wanted to start first with a little bit of industry and organization update. What you see on this slide is a summary of a dashboard of the state of Wisconsin and the state of tourism in Wisconsin. And what we're seeing is that travel spending in Wisconsin is lagging 2020 by 36% in February, which was a pre-pandemic month. What we see at the top of the screen is sort of the travel spending in billions of dollars. So going from 1 billion in January 2020, we've seen the impact of the pandemic, the first shutdowns, and where we are right now is sort of bouncing around this $700,000 to $600,000 spending range, having a significant impact on taxes, both at the state and local level, as we all know. This dashboard will be updated monthly, and I will be able to share some additional information out as we see new numbers come in. But through February, we can see that air passengers to Wisconsin significantly down. auto trips to Wisconsin significantly down, and lodging demand, which is really critical for all of us, significantly down. The next slide shows a little bit of the forecast at a national level for what we're anticipating in the lodging industry. We're looking at demand for room nights, the average daily rate for a room night, and the revenue per available room. Using 2019 as sort of our North Star, what we're hoping to get back to, we're looking at and anticipating that demand for hotel rooms will recover to 2019 levels sometime in 2023. More critical is that we see the average daily rate, and most importantly, that revenue per available room still lagging 2019 levels. This will be where we will see the impact as it relates to room tax collections, and tourism marketing dollars, plus the dollars from room tax that go to general fund for our communities will be lagging still even further into the future. When we look at hotel occupancy here in the greater Madison area, we have now data through March. So clearly the purplish line is 2021. The lightest color line is 2019, our benchmark year, and 2020 is in the dark red. So we continued to trail in 2021. Our January numbers, February numbers inched up a little tiny bit over 2020 in March. We are hoping that we will begin to see some better figures as we get into the balance of the year. There are some anomalies in these numbers in that when a hotel is actually closed, their rooms are not included in the occupancy rates. So some of the occupancy rates for 2020 could be a little bit overstated because we know we had hotel closures during that time. On a more positive note, we have some optimism in traveler sentiment studies. Longwoods International and Miles Partnership have been doing tourism traveler sentiment studies for the last year and sharing them with the industry. And right now they're looking at some pretty positive numbers. 88% of American travelers are reporting having travel plans in the next 6 months. Much of that is looking to occur over the next 3 to 5 months, so in the summertime. It's the first time we've really seen that high a level since March of last year. However, they are looking for travel to places that have safety protocols in place. They want businesses to have mask requirements. They want to know that there are cleaning protocols in place. So it's really important that businesses continue to practice those and demonstrate those safety features. As I mentioned, the next trip for about a quarter of Americans are in the next 3 to 5 months. And the other thing we're seeing is that people are starting to feel safer about getting outside of their own community to travel. So that has positive aspects, positive opportunity for us as we go into the summer months. Oops. Ellie, I wanted to turn this over to you to talk a little bit about our organization, what you've been doing, and the recovery plan themes that are emerging.
Sure. Thank you, Diane. A couple things here. You know, I've been here about 2.5 months, and of course, I'm new to the community, so I have spent quite a bit of time meeting with folks just to get to know our board members and the members of our foundation and the sports commission and so forth. And you know, it's very interesting coming into a new destination in a Zoom world. On one hand, it's been good because I can sit at my desk and jump from Zoom to Zoom and probably get more meetings in a day. But it's a bit frustrating because it's difficult to get out and get to know people. And that's, you know, when you really start creating those relationships. I've also taken that time to meet with every member of our staff and understand the departments and their roles and responsibilities. And that's all been going really well. It is nice to have a couple weeks under my belt, though, I will say that. One of the things we've been doing probably since I got here is we've been working on creating a recovery plan. And by doing this, what we have done, you know, we really wanted the input of all of our partners, of all of our regional partners into the plan. And so we have been meeting with restaurants, and then we met with hotels, and we met with retailers. We've met with our regional partners, and we said, hey, what has your experience been? What is your experience now? And kind of what is your forecasting? And what are you looking forward to, you know, moving forward? What are you seeing in your community or in your restaurant or in your hotel? And we've really taken all that information and we've built it into this plan. So we're going to release this plan in the next couple weeks. But we have 6 or 7 key initiatives. We've created really aggressive KPIs for each initiative because, as Diane said, as you saw by the numbers, it's 2024 or 2025 before we get back to that average daily rate that we were experiencing in 2019. No one wants to wait that long. Our hoteliers need that rate back sooner rather than later. They have been just decimated this past year. So our goal is to get that ADR back, get back to those 2019 numbers before 24, hopefully in 23. So we look forward to sharing the recovery plan with you. And once we complete that and we release it, I am so happy to meet with anyone. If you just want to grab a Zoom call and just say, let's walk through this. I want to understand it more. We also want any of your feedback and input as well. Thank you, Diane.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to talk a little bit about what our sports and sales teams are up to.
All right, thank you, Diane. So for sales activities, we are seeing for the first time since the pandemic happened that more than 10% of planners are primarily focused on booking new events as opposed to, rebooking or rescheduling old events. And 60% of planners expect to be back meeting face-to-face again in the second half of this year. And we certainly have experienced that in our destination. And then with more than 50% of the planners are looking at hybrid options now or intend to plan for it soon. That comes with different challenges, but trying to figure it out. So we'll see if that's here to stay. On the sports side, we're doing several different activities to reach out to both local clients and rights holders. We've partnered with Sports Wisconsin twice to host a Super Bowl engagement activity where we use prop bets to connect with those. We had an unveiling of the prop bets, and then based on what happened in the Super Bowl, we had prize giveaways, and we're doing something similar that we've done in the past years, but virtually this year is with NFL Draft Bingo. So as a player gets selected, they'll cross it off on their bingo card and then text it in to us. And then, the first 3 people that get bingo will win. We're also doing blackout this year. And those have proven to be popular and fun engagement activities and just an easy, non-threatening way to connect and have people think about Madison and the Wisconsin destination. Also, we're restarting our local awareness and community outreach, meeting with people locally to figure out where they are as they start planning for local leagues and things like that. And then also the business and sports community through our morning sports report. We had one virtual with Ken Pomeroy in March, who is a college basketball analyst. We were going to have him in person last year, and then that got delayed for obvious reasons. He came back and did it virtual, and he nailed most of the NCAA tournament picks. So if you had a pool and listened, you would have probably done well on that. Our next one is May 20th, and registration is open right now for that. That's going to feature Judge Schemmel from American Family, Teddy Warner from the Brewers, and Liz Panich from Revolution, a branding agency. And it's really geared towards marketing and branding and how you have 2 brands collide. So if you're interested in marketing, branding, or baseball, it's a good one for you to check out. That will be virtual, and then hopefully we'll start going to in-person soon. We continue to connect with our clients, Golden Age Games, CrossFit, Ironman, WIA, and other events that we have on the second half of the year. The Golden Age Games, which is for veterans 55 and older, did cancel. That was going to be for the end of June. It's a high-risk population. We rescheduled it 3 times, and with all the different protocols and pieces in place, they just made the determination they couldn't host it, which that's definitely a painful loss because we've been working on that for 5 years, and it would have been really heartwarming and easily the best Golden Age Games in history. Our local VA hospital was doing an incredible job. CrossFit, we're planning on having that come back this year after a hiatus last year. And same with Ironman. We'll see if there needs to be any different adjustments made for those as we get further along in towards the engagement. But at this time, we're planning on moving forward as typical. And then the WIA, we've been working and following along with them for a long time. We haven't hosted any of the WIA state culminating events. They've been breaking them down into smaller pod systems, you know, so that they have less people on one site. You know, a lot of Dane County schools haven't been playing sports. Spring sports are a little bit different, where most of our schools here are playing spring sports. So there's maybe some opportunity to host a culminating event. It would be smaller and shorter, but we'll see when we get there. A decision hasn't been made on that for spring sports. And then our sports product development committee, we're still moving forward. We're going to meet with communities for 2021 and kind of talk about how the pandemic shifted goals. And I believe a couple of people from Fitchburg are coming to that on our May 5th one. So we're excited to kind of hear what people are thinking and how we can help continue to lead that. We do think sports are going to be like the second thing that comes back after leisure. And so we are fervently working on leads and bookings, and we've created a lot of different events right now, or have things in the works that I think will be long time destination things. We are seeing productivity move up, but there are some challenges with seasons being out of whack and venues trying to restart, especially in Dane County, where we're 4 to 8 months behind other communities that have maybe opened a little bit quicker. But with every lessening of restriction, there's optimism growing, and you'll continue to see that. On the convention sales side, they're continuing, as Ellie mentioned, to think about recovery as well, how we can impact short-term meetings so we can, you know, fill out a lot of openings this year, and then focusing on mid and long-term booking pace. In conjunction with the City of Madison, JLL Consulting is going to do an optimization study at Monona Terrace to make sure that we are putting the right pieces of business to use as much space as possible in Monona Terrace at the right time. So it's going to merge booking data for both Monona Terrace and Destination Madison. So hopefully we'll get bigger events and then layer it in so that everybody sees even better outcomes than we've been producing. And they've been focused on target account activities as well, which feeds into the optimization strategies.
I think we can sort of skip through these accounts. We just wanted you to see sort of the pace of where things are, so you can see how 2020 and 2021 have been impacted for our sales leads, our room nights, and revenue that we've booked at the various convention centers.
Yep, as you might expect, it is down. We spent a lot of time on 2020 rebooking. And then here you see just some cancellations of events. So essentially the first half of this year, most of the events have been canceled, but we have more we're more optimistic about the second half of the year. So
thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
We also wanted to share with you some of the marketing work that's been going on to support our businesses as we've been in this sort of gray area of public health guidelines. We launched a Madison Minication campaign working with 19 participating hoteliers, and the Minication combined a hotel reservation with some sort of experience package that could be done safely either within the hotel or within the community surrounding the hotel. We're still gathering the final data on this, but this was very well received. We got a lot of good publicity for this and a lot of good web traffic out of it, which is always great. This was really focused on both locals to try to give people a chance to get out of their house, but also about, you know, a 2-hour drive time around Madison. Some other marketing activities have been really working strongly to freshen our content, to keep talking about things to help people shop local, dine local, do things locally that are safe. We've continued to support the activities of the sports and sales areas and have really some significant web traffic coming in. In Q1, it was over 250,000 page views, which was up 49% over the Q4 of last year. Public relations has been revamping. A lot of travel writers weren't writing or traveling in 2020, but we're beginning to see some momentum there. And our PR team have had several virtual events with meeting planners, much like Jamie talked about the draft event with sports planners, really trying to do things virtually that will keep us connected and keep Madison top of mind with the travel writers. We've had some good coverage in the meantime, and we do have some media scheduled to be in the destination coming up this summer. Visitor experience is the other piece of our work that we've been continuing to work forward on. We are shifting our visitor's guide from print to digital, which we'll be launching in early June. We will have a section within that digital space around our communities that are surrounding communities. And we're actually working with Angela Kinderman and the Chamber on creating some copy and getting some imagery to include in the visitor's guide, the digital guide. We're continuing to launch experiences. We have 2 new experiences launching in Q2. We have totally now 20 offerings, and a lot of our experiences have shifted from live to virtual. And an example would be Fromagination Cheese Shop, which was doing an in-person cheese board making. They've done them now virtually and had as many as 150 people on a single virtual event, which is certainly far more than that small shop could handle in person. We also have our visitor team back at the airport greeting visitors. Numbers are pretty slow. We're not there as many hours as typically, but we're very glad to be back at the airport and to support visitors coming in through the airport. So that's, there is an appendix to the presentation, which you will receive, that shows a little bit about who's coming to town in the balance of this year, what's on the books for next year. At this point, we'd certainly be welcome any questions or feedback that you have. I will say we do also have, Jamie talked about some of the big sports events for this fall that are continuing to work on planning. I think you've probably all seen the announcement that World Dairy Expo is also working on their program for fall of 2021. So that's really good news for all of us too. So we're excited about supporting that, their efforts and helping make that show a success. Any questions?
Hi, Diane, it's Joyce. I actually do have a question. Could you, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but could you provide us with an update as to what's going on with Alliant Energy?
Sure. So the Alliant Energy Center is currently, as you know, been a vaccination, testing and a vaccination shot in the home for Second Harvest Food Bank. So they've had a pretty active use of their facility during this period. They are anticipating opening up to groups in the next couple of months. I want to say June is their target date, Ellie, if I'm correct. And they do have an RFP out for a master plan that is it's kind of the culmination of a master planning effort that's taken place over the last few years. So there is a committee working with them on that, and it'll be a challenging project going forward, but we're very excited about it. So Ellie, do you want to add anything about the Alliant Energy Center conversations?
No, I mean, I think the RFP that was sent out is interesting, and you know, I look forward to seeing what kind of response they get from that. I think the deadline for proposals is May 28th. So more to come as we see what type of response they get, and then, you know, how that moves forward.
Okay, I have another question, Mark Hamilton.
Hi there. Just a question and an observation. The observation is I'm involved in several other volunteer events around this city, from the golf tournament to the Boys and Girls Club virtual or move ride, whatever you want to call it right now. I'm concerned about people's confidence in coming back. And that's what I'm hearing from my friends and my family. And again, I'm a committee of one. But as you look at this stuff, we're not hearing about Art Fair in the Square. Again, a great event. The event for the chamber, the concerts in the square, been moved and at 10%. So, you know, I'll look more at Jamie with these big events. Are they coming back in the fall versus summer? Because I'm skeptical we're going to see a lot of big events during the summer. Just that's my comment. My question is that what else should we be doing to increase the public's confidence to come back out? That's a challenge. So I'll just toss those up.
So
Sure.
great question. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was just I'll let Jamie address the big events, Mark, that you mentioned. You know, when we did our industry segment and our regional partner meetings followed up by a survey, consumer confidence was a theme that we heard across all segments. And I think that's a big thing. I think that's a big thing, not only for our residents, but also for our visitors. And so, you know, we've had many discussions in the office about how do we create that consumer confidence? How do we continue to promote that, you know, if a visitor comes in town, they are going to have to wear a mask because we do have a mandate. That we've got to get to a point where people feel comfortable. Jamie and I just had a very long conversation about this last night. We got to get to a point where people feel comfortable getting back out, and we've got to get some of these events back that are traditional, historic events for our community for folks to experience, both residents, you know, and the visitor. Jamie, you want to address the big event question or comment?
Yeah, so people are, you know, it's kind of a little on both hands, where people are very wanting to get out there and do things. You know, I think like within youth sports, seasonality is mixed up. So parents are juggling like, hey, I'm going from 0 to 100. Where do I put my kids? There's a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, I can't do everything at once. I do think that the people that are planning them for their livelihoods, they definitely need to get those up and restarted. And so they may need to look at different ways to do it so they can fit within public health guidelines, or you know, tailor back to sort of what's the word I'm looking for, to take some of the risk out of it, you know, because they don't want to spend extra money that they can if they're not, you know, too in advance before they know that they can have the event, how they reshape it. So they may be reshaping it for this year. Some of the bigger events that you know, I'm working on, I think there's the later in the year that we get, there's generally more optimism with the vaccine numbers that we're hearing from public health. So it's going to be a bumpy road, but you know, we're doing everything we can to help, you know, open up conversations.
Thank you, Jamie. And thanks, Diane. Or Ellie, sorry.
That's okay. It's a team effort over here on our end.
Any other question?
It's Joyce again. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to tell Ellie that Mike and I would welcome the opportunity to have you come out and take a tour of Fitchburg when things get back to normal and I get my driver's license back. So I'm just kidding. I got to lighten the thing up a little bit here too. But yeah, we would love to actually meet you in person and show you around. We've got a lot of things going on.
Wonderful, Joyce. I look forward to that. I'll email you and maybe we can go ahead and get something tentatively on the schedule for the summer when we're all comfortable getting back together again once we're all fully vaccinated.
So thank you. Thank you. And any other questions for us?
Seems none. So okay. So
I've got one. Sorry,
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah. To Joyce's point, how has Destination Madison typically collaborated with Fitchburg in the past? You know, are there any like sort of examples of marquee events or initiatives or anything like that?
Overall, we collaborate very, very closely with the Chamber and with Angela and her team, both on communications about the marketing efforts that are going on, looking for ways we can do joint marketing efforts. We've also supported the events that Fitchburg has launched through marketing that we've done to help promote those events, whether it's social media or, you know, just having things on our events calendar. We are in constant contact with them about what's going on and what we're doing. And we also bring together our regional partners for a regular conversation. So really bringing in Middleton, Verona, New Glarus, you know, all really Stoughton, Sun Prairie. I mean, so we really sometimes pull our group together as a collaborative, so we all know what each other is doing. And I think that's been also really beneficial to each of the tourism groups in our surrounding communities, so that they're aligned on kind of who's doing what who's saying what's being promoted, and that's been really, really helpful as well. So we really value the partnership with the chamber, and we really value the support that the city of Fitchburg has and CETA have given us over the years. It's been a great collaboration. We look forward to years more of the same.
And Diane, if I can add, we also work closely with the hotels in Fitchburg. And I know at least one of them participated in Minication that we promoted out to our residents and our visitors. So we also work not only through the chamber, but also directly with the hotels and restaurants and so forth.
I would also add that Angela is a new member of the Destination Madison Board of Directors. We have one seat on the board that is designated for a representative from one of our funding communities, surrounding communities, and she has taken that seat for the next 2 years.
Okay. Any other question? Seeing none. So thank you very much. Welcome, Ellie, to Destination Madison.
Thank you.
And say hi to Corinne for me, okay?
Absolutely.
We used to work together. So thank you guys, and good luck this year, okay?
Thank you. We appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thank you.
Bye. So next in our agenda, we have Craig Smith with a presentation from Parkbank.
Hi.
So welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself for the people that they don't know you?
Okay. My name is Craig Schmidt. I'm the Vice President of Business Banking at Park Bank. Mike Zimmerman wanted me to come in and just talk a little bit about Park Bank's experience with PPP loans and what we're seeing in the business community. I may need some help with the slides. I brought some information. The first one I'll start with, if you can see it, the totals. Okay.
1 second, Greg. We don't. You can find this information in the package too on the website.
Okay. Yeah, so if we can go to the second slide. Yep.
We don't see it.
Perfect. That's
I've got slides.
okay. And I apologize. The bank's network will not let me log into Zoom while still accessing the network. So I had to sign out of the bank's network. So I appreciate you being patient with that. So this first one here, I'm going to start with the totals. Over the last year, Park Bank has done 1,095 PPP loans as of last week, Monday, totaling over $155 million in funds that we've dispersed to local businesses. It's impacted 18,511 employees. So we feel it's had a significant impact on the greater Madison area. And this would be mostly Madison, Verona, Middleton, Sun Prairie, like I said, the greater Madison area. The challenge I had getting some numbers to show you how it's impacted the city of Fitchburg is the SBA puts everything by zip code. And unfortunately, Fitchburg has several different zip codes. So I didn't feel that was an accurate representation of what's been given to businesses in Fitchburg. So the top line are businesses on their application that applied using Fitchburg. And I know there are businesses that are located in Fitchburg but used a Madison address. So I would say these numbers are probably the minimum. It wouldn't surprise me if these were probably close to maybe double these numbers, but businesses that applied for a PPP loan using Fitchburg were 106 businesses, totaling $18.1 million, and had employed 1,226 employees. So you can see that this has had a significant impact on both Fitchburg businesses and also businesses that are in the greater Madison area. The loan volume, 155 million, that's on top of what Park Bank has normally done in the course of a year, which is typically just a little bit over $100 million in commercial loans. So it's been a very, very busy year for us. And but we're glad to do it because it's supporting the local business community. If we can go to the next slide. Not a problem. So I'll kind of jump ahead to the next slide. The payroll protection program isn't difficult. It's an actually fairly easy program to apply for. The challenge for businesses has been that there's been so many changes to it over the past year. You look back at, a year ago, it was a 2-year note. Now it's a 5. Instead of you started out with an 8-week cover period. Now you're up to 24 weeks. Originally, it was just for companies that had payroll. Now you can be a Schedule C employee or employer and be able to apply. The other challenge has been that there's been some banks and credit unions that either haven't been involved in it or have had limited activity in it. And that's where it's difficult for some businesses to access PPP loans. I would say larger businesses that have their own accounting departments or have strong connections to accountants have done well. Those accountants have kind of guided them through the process, got the documentation together that they need to apply for a PPP loan. The businesses that I think have struggled are the smaller ones that don't have their own accounting department or don't have a strong relationship with their accountant or their bank. They've had difficulty applying or getting these loans. And that's where we're seeing a lot of small businesses reaching out, trying to find somebody that can help them with a PPP loan. The nice thing with Park Bank is that we work directly with you. There's no 100 numbers. There's no online application. You contact us and we work directly with you getting these resolved. Some examples that I can give you. This is just a conversation I had last night. A business had applied for a PPP loan with a national bank. They got an email saying that there was a invalid application, but absolutely no idea, no communication why their application wasn't being processed. And they had spent 2 or 3 weeks trying to reach out to the bank to find out why the application wasn't being completed. And in working with him yesterday, we determined that he had put his Social Security number in where his EIN number should have gone. So again, and actually one of the downfalls, we are thinking that the PPP program will run out of money probably early next week. So a lot of these businesses are cutting it pretty close whether they'll be able to get a PPP loan. The other confusion that we've had is small business owners that think they need to have a 25% reduction in income in a quarter. That's only if it's your second PPP loan. So again, a lot of confusion where small businesses aren't sure they qualify or don't know if they can apply for a PPP loan, and having the guidance or somebody there to help them through that process. We've had businesses that have paid fees. I had a business that paid a $5,000 fee just to apply for the PPP loan, which is completely unnecessary and unfortunately a waste of their funds. So again, that's where I think the smaller community banks have really helped because they've guided these small business owners through this process so they can get the funds that they need. Moving to the third slide. So beyond just PPP, Park Bank has worked diligently, and I think most banks have worked with small businesses to work with on loan deferrals. When the pandemic started, nobody really knew, a lot of people expected this would be over in 2 or 3 months. And then when it turned out that it was going to last longer, working with businesses on their loan deferrals, refinancing, renewing loans has been interesting too, because a lot of businesses, their financials don't look like they have in previous years. So that has been a process working with business owners to get loans renewed or to refinance them so they fit, what their finances look at the moment. The other one is also educating small business owners. There's been a lot of federal, state, county, and local grants. Even though you don't apply for this directly through the bank, economic injury disaster loans have been a major source of funding for businesses, helping them with that process, helping them understand the differences between EIDL and PPP. The We're All In grants, the Forward Fitchburg Business Boost Loan, and then also some of the PPE funds that the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce has offered too. So all of these, just having the resources and the knowledge of what's available out there and what you can do to help small businesses, that's really been a large portion of what we've done over the past year with business owners. That's it in a nutshell. I guess we are still concerned. There are, funding is ending probably next week, and there are a portion of business owners that have not received their first PPP loan, much less their second. We've seen it impact businesses in different ways. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about bars and restaurants, but also salons, gyms, a lot of retailers. We're concerned about how, kind of going back to what Mark had to say, are people going to get back out there at the levels that some businesses need to be able to survive? And I think we're going to see that throughout 2021. What does that curve look like of people coming out and how it impacts businesses? So that's what I had to say in a nutshell. Mike just wanted me to share that because he thought it was some interesting information. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything I can answer for you?
I can make some comment because I am very involved for my regular job about all the PPP loan, the forgiveness. And I agree with you, Craig, that the business that they are more robust and they have accountants, they were more fortunate to get all of these loans and application because, it has been very difficult even for us because there are a lot of changing, like every week they are changing or every month, and there were a lot of confusion. And I think that the small business, especially the I would say minority business, that they don't have the resources to have people to help them navigate this very, very complicated, because everything is through the SBA, website. It has been very confusing for a small business, especially the small one. I want to tell you that I have clients that I have worked with Par Bank, and I am very surprised that the customer service and working with the banker and sending me email. Today, I just sent an email this morning before the meeting started with Par Bank, and I say, Wagner is doing this, we are doing this webinar, please help disseminate. And she always sends me information, and it has been the way that you guys, I want to say, compared to other banks, because I work with a lot of banks, you guys very proactive with your clients on top of everything, even going through the forgiveness application for the first PPP loan is also the form that then you need to fill out to the SBA are very complicated, because we are doing that. I am reviewing some of the forms and they are, how to put all the information together for the forgiveness and, and yeah, if you are a business and you don't have an accountant behind you or other resources, it's very difficult to navigate with all of these loans, or grants, I would say. But I want to say thank you because I have a very pleasant experience working with Par Bank through my clients and how involved you are with your client. And so that's all my comment. So anyone has a comment?
I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, the process, it's confusing because I can honestly say there's been over 20 different applications over the past year, and helping customers figure out which application they need to complete and the documentation that goes with it.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, the process is actually pretty easy. It's just getting that first step done. And a lot of small business owners that don't have those relationships with accountants, we need quarterly income statements to show a 25% drop in revenue. They just don't know, they don't have access to that, and it makes it difficult for them to access those funds then.
Yeah. Any other question?
Julia, it's Joyce.
Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to both Craig and Dan Hardy. Craig was extremely helpful when we were doing our Biz Boost loan program. He actually helped design the actual loan documentation with the review of Dan Hardy. So I just want to thank both of them for their contribution to our program. I don't know what I would have done without them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. But so my other comment that I want to make to all of the CEDA members here is that, you know, the other thing that we need to ask is what we are doing to support our minority business here in Fitchburg. You know, it brought to my attention that, you know, they think that we are not doing enough. So this is something for another conversation, but I know that we did the Forward Fitchburg Business Boost loan, but we need to rethink if we can do something during the summer, you know, for, you know, how we can help. We need to identify who are those business, where they are located, and maybe do a survey or go and visit them and ask them what are the needs. You know, I volunteer to do that, but I think we need to be more involved, especially with our small businesses, the tiny one, because as Greg mentioned, you know, sometimes they don't have resources of an accountant and they are missing a lot of, you know, opportunities that are out there. And the other thing I want to mention to all of you, you have restaurants. And I think that, you know, Greg, now is the new, is the restaurant rehabilitation fund. The SBA is coming together with all the regulation and application. So that one is going to be another boost for restaurant. I have been going through some of the training and the application, and we have a lot of restaurants here in Fitchburg, and I already sent information to Angela from the Fitchburg Chamber about all of this. So how we can, you know, let our small restaurant here that there are all these resources are coming, and how they should be prepared to apply for that too. Okay, any other comment?
Uli, I would just mention that with minority-owned businesses.
What?
Sorry about that.
Hello?
Yeah, just a second, Julia.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, I think I'm okay now here with the, had too much technology going. I just wanted to mention that with the, with your question to minority businesses, with the BizBoost program, we specifically shared that information with the, our friends at the Latino and Black Chambers of Commerce to try and get the word out to their membership and minority-owned businesses that are in Fitchburg. And then our temporary premise expansion permit program for the restaurants did benefit some of our small minority-owned businesses as well. So we tried to do some outreach. And then I know some folks did apply for the BizBoost program, but some of them weren't eligible for some of the, didn't meet some of the eligibility requirements of the BizBoost program.
Okay, any other question for Greg? No? Okay, Greg, thank you very much for the update, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Craig.
Bye.
Thanks, Greg.
So next in our agenda, we have the hotel room tax report consideration. Do we have any update, Mike?
No updates at this one. There'll be one at the next meeting.
So next we move to the next item in the agenda is Fitchburg Road construction update. We have Andrew McFadden. How do you pronounce your name? Last name, Andrew?
McFadden. Yep.
McFadden. Yeah. He is our new city engineer. So he's gonna give us an update of the Fitchburg Road construction project. So Andrew, are you ready?
Sure. Yeah, and just to clarify, I'm the new transportation engineer.
Yeah, transportation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the big one, in construction right now, Fish Hatchery Road, as you're all aware. Last week or April 12th, we switched over to the western lanes, the southbound lanes. Now we have both northbound, southbound traffic in them from Traceway down to Brendan. And so that's kind of where the bulk of the work's going to take place this year, south of Traceway. We do have some signal work north of Traceway, a I think we got Greenway Cross finished up and Post almost there, and then we'll be working on Traceway next. So that's kind of some of the big stuff. The kind of half road closure at Traceway will continue until July, when we'll be switching over to do the work on the northbound lanes or the eastern lanes. And I will note that this kind of the next 9 days, the Cap City Trail will be closed, the Cap City Trail bridge overpass will be closed, but after that we'll have kind of a gravel path to that. So we've been working with Mark and with other folks to try to make that as good as possible while we're kind of fixing it up and making sure that that stays open as much as possible during the construction. We have, that's kind of the largest kind of ongoing construction project. We do have one on East Sherrill closing down Woods Hollow currently, and that'll be continuing for the next month. We have a 17-day closure there of Woods Hollow, and we're detouring folks over on Research Park Drive there by Agora. And that's to put in bulb outs and to resurface East Sherrill. We also have some water main work over on East Clayton. So that is closed to through traffic, and we'll be doing railroad, kind of closing down that East Clayton connection there across the tracks later. And then, two big projects in design, West Lacey, which we're working with the neighbors to kind of decide on what are the best features to include there, and working through council. And then we'll be doing a similar process with South Saline. We're kind of setting up, we work with like one block so far, just kind of trying to buckle down that, and then we're going to be kind of broadening it to the rest of the corridor. So, and then I will also note that South Saline, I don't know, I think you guys meet every few months. So South Saline, south of the South Saline project down to Aurora. So Aurora down to like through Irish will be getting resurfaced later this year. So that contract is going out. So any questions? This is my first time go of this. So if you want more or less detail, I'm happy to oblige.
So regarding the Lacey Road, where we are at now, we are going to be, because I know that it was public work postponed, one of the resolutions that it was coming. So how is going to affect the project if we continue postponing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think they recommended postponing. I think TTC didn't have didn't approve any amendments. So they didn't really have any suggestions. So I think Bill and I were kind of planning on still bringing it to the council and kind of getting some feedback next week. And then, certainly we don't have unlimited time. I think, we talked a little bit about some of our construction constraints next year. And really with some of the developer agreements, we really, currently we're really shooting for 2022. So I think, the sooner we can kind of get some of these things addressed, the better. But yeah, I think we're trying to take kind of one decision at a time right now. What's kind of in the staff memo and a resolution to council is some of the elements of the cross section. And then I think the next step will be kind of fine tuning some of those, some of the design and kind of our trouble spots, along the hill where we have potential tree loss, further east where we could also have potential tree loss, and kind of just trying to maximize what we can get for kind of the minimum cost. We've got a lot of kind of terrain issues in there. So that's kind of, I guess, the process. But yeah, we're hoping to, keep the project on track. We really don't have a lot of slack in the schedule, unfortunately.
And Julia?
Okay. Yes.
Can I just comment on that? We are hearing some concerns from Promega on the timing of that, specifically because the approval of kind of the cross-section and the TPP, and Andrew can explain what that is, kind of impacts some of the additional utilities. There's a second utility feed that Promega needs to the building from Madison Gas and Electric, which is critical to their occupancy for that building in Q3, I think, of this year. So the timing of kind of getting that cross-section approved and moving things forward is becoming a question or concern for the Promega facility over there. So I just want to make sure the council's aware of that. I think Promega appreciates the concerns that have been raised by the neighbors as far as the trees and also the hill and how some of those things are handled topographically. But Promega, I think, has the confidence in our city staff and engineers that those concerns have been brought to light and that our staff will continue to work through those as the process continues, but that they want to see that cross-section kind of keep moving forward through the process. And Andrew, maybe you can just explain what the TPP is and what it means.
Yeah. So the resolution right now to council is just kind of those cross-sectional elements, width of road, terrace, no terrace, bike lane, shared use path. The next step, the next resolution that we would bring to you or to council would be basically the transportation project plat, which would be the kind of specification of what road, what kind of area along the corridor will be, easements versus permanent easements versus fee areas where we'll be buying right away. So I guess that's kind of the next step to kind of lay that out. And I think that's really what Promega is looking for in order to get some buy off on their secondary power. But yeah, so that's kind of, we would need kind of the full, exactly what, what impacts we're going to have to right of way at that point. And that's kind of where that's that decision point. So right now we're kind of talking more general of what features do we want in the project. The next thing we'll be talking about is where we're actually buying up right of way and what land gets impacted.
So my other question is, I assume that every time that we had to make changes to the design with the engineer, the city is paying extra fee, isn't it, to engineers? Or we have a, because I don't know how many times already there were so many changes to this design. And I want to be sure that there is, we are, every time that we go to the engineer and say, we want this change and we want to modify this, we are paying $200 an hour maybe to change those things, isn't it?
Yeah, it varies, but yeah, it's anywhere from $90 to $200 an hour. Yeah, and some changes are easier if it's just kind of sensitivity analysis of versus a full roadway redesign. And so we've put 2 kind of full roadway designs on the corridor so far, and we have done a few other kind of sensitivity analysis of, okay, what if we kind of take this out, just kind of back in the napkin. And so we have a lot of that information that we've been working through, since our public meeting. So, yep, that all takes time and money, but it's certainly part of the process. But yeah, at some point, we have to kind of hone in on what the city wants.
Yeah.
Question 2 on the project.
Yes, Andrew.
I guess what is the current preferred intersection reconstruction for Lacey and Seminole Highway?
Yeah, so that's definitely another part of it, although kind of a separate design, although be probably constructing concurrently. Based on the feedback so far, it looks like a roundabout is more preferred. We're still going to kind of work that through, talk about some more of the details, and then that would likely be part of kind of a future resolution. But we haven't gotten that full design off the ground. We kind of wanted to scope it with one or the other alternatives to kind of make that decision. Again, to save some of that design cost, because we already have kind of what that preliminary design cost for each intersection would be, and some of the pros and cons. So we feel comfortable that we could make that decision kind of beforehand, and then get the design contract going off to design that.
But I think there is a lot of confusion. This is what the meeting that I was watching,
sure,
all the email that I got, there are a lot of confusion about with the bikes, the buffer bike lanes. Some people are opposed, some people, they say yes, some people, so is that they are going to be part, or we are already removed that from the design?
That's a great point. So, what we presented in February included buffer bike lanes and a shared use path on the north side, as well as sidewalks on the south side for the whole extent of the corridor. Working with the ad hoc advisory group, we kind of said, well, what could we take out and kind of get a minimum cross section? We worked that down to a 28-foot roadway, maybe 2 14-foot lanes without bike lanes on street, just grading the sidewalk, but not actually installing the sidewalk. And then still having that shared use path, but extending it to 12 feet. So it'll go from 10 generally to 12 feet along the hill, just to give folks a little bit more, width while people are going faster on the hill. And that was kind of the bare minimum. And then what staff recommended was, if we're at 28 feet right now, we can add 2 more feet to the roadway width and have on-street bike facilities with 10-foot travel lanes and 5-foot bike facilities. So that just seemed like a good kind of on a benefit cost. That made sense. So that is the staff recommendation. So that would be kind of grading a terrace and the sidewalk on the south side, a 30-foot roadway curb to curb. So that would be 10-foot travel lanes and 5-foot bike lanes, terrace on the north side for trees and street lights, and then a 10 to 12-foot shared use path on the north side. So that's kind of what staff recommendation is right now, included in the resolution. But we really want to paint that picture of kind of here's the minimum and maybe what like the all-in would be. So kind of have those bounds for discussion.
And I want to ask a question to Mike about, from the point of view of economic development, why is it so important that we fix this road? And so that one is the other key, why we are bringing this topic to our committee is because there is an economic development, an economic impact about this road. Some people are thinking that this road is still a rural road, but it's becoming more increased the traffic, and it's becoming more like a urban and we need to also consider all the future development in that area that's going to come. So Mike, can you tell us why it's so important that we fix this road?
Sure. When we worked with both Promega Corporation and Sub-Zero on their most recent projects and expansions, one of the most critical and important elements there was to get the transportation network in. And if you might remember, we got a $1 million T grant for the Sub-Zero Parkway extension that goes out to Seminole Highway. And now we're getting another $1 million T grant for the Lacey Road reconstruction. But one of the critical elements of that is we wanted to connect Commerce Park Drive to the south to Lacey Road, so that way we had a north-south kind of artery to go through there. So we're not just funneling all the traffic through one intersection previously at Commerce Park Drive. Because on the Sub-Zero campus, they've got over 2 million square feet on their Fitchburg campus, and there's 1,500 employees working out of their facilities there. So if you've ever been there when there's a shift change, you can see how the significant amount of traffic that currently, prior to the Sub-Zero Parkway extension out to Seminole Highway, was really funneling all out through the Commerce Park Drive, McKee Road intersection there. So we wanted to punch Commerce Park through already. We couldn't until we do the Lacey Road reconstruction because of the topography there at the hill where Commerce Park Drive will be coming out to Lacey Road. So that's why we decided to wait until the Lacey Road reconstruction. But then we also had the Seminole Highway intersection and Lacey Road, and that was going to be in 2022, so we delayed the Lacey Road reconstruction from 2021 to 2022, so that way we're only shutting down the road for construction 1 year, 1 season there. But Promega has the expectation of being able to funnel their truck traffic out Commerce Park Drive to Lacey Road as their trucks kind of connect and drop off supplies to their campus over here at Fitchburg Center. So it's really important from a transportation network for those companies over there to, again, have multiple arteries to get in and out of that area with their customers and truck traffic. I think the other thing is that we're going to start to see development on the south side of Lacey Road as well. On the May Plan Commission agenda, there's an area south of Lacey Road at the intersection of Fitzrona and Lacey that's owned by Payne and Dolan that is currently in the urban service area, and they are coming forward with another residential subdivision with approximately 100 single-family homes and 30 duplex units. So their comprehensive development plan will be on the May Plan Commission agenda. So we're going to start to see additional residential activity, and then the area that surrounds that land that's currently in the urban service area, so it's kind of west of Seminole Highway and south of Lacey Road, is also identified as one of our future urban growth areas there. It's called the South Stoner Prairie Neighborhood. Now that area would have to go through a neighborhood plan process first, and then would ultimately go forward to CARPC and DNR for an urban service area extension. But that's one of the neighborhoods where we would look to grow and add to our urban service areas. We can continue to experience really robust Single-family housing construction starts here, as you can see over at the Stoner Prairie neighborhood, and also now with Crescent Crossing right at the corner of Seminole Highway and Lacey that Viridian is doing. We need to kind of stay ahead of making sure that we have our next subdivisions entitled, so we have lots available both for single-family and duplex units here in Fitchburg. So there's a lot of activity going on over in that area, and I think it's important that we stay out front with the infrastructure to kind of serve that growth within the area. Last thing I'll mention is that's what's happening within Fitchburg's borders. You know, there's a lot happening to the west of us in Verona, you know, with a Costco store that's coming. So you can imagine a lot of our Fitchburg population will probably be using not only McKee Road, but also going down Lacey Road, Seminole Highway, and Wayland to get over to the Costco store and other developments in that area when that opens. I'm not sure exactly what year that's projected to open, but there's significant growth and development in our neighboring community to the west.
I have a question for Andrew. Why don't we fix Fitzrona Road? You're taking your life in your hands every time you drive that.
Which stretch are you're referring to?
Between Lacey and Nesbitt.
Sure. So that is on the CIP. I believe that is going to get designed, I want to say next year, that we're starting to design next year for construction in, I believe 2024. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. I can get back to you on that. But yeah, that is kind of the next project. We didn't include the Fitzrona Road intersection with this. That is included in that project.
Andrew, I have a question. What cost increase can we expect if this project is delayed a year for Lacey Road?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think, you know, from a construction cost, you know, we'll likely see about 5% per year. I think there's probably some other factors in terms of getting the T grant. I think is contingent upon, you know, some of these facilities being open at a given time, and I think also some of our developer agreements kind of stipulate when these roadway projects will be constructed. So I think that that's maybe some of the factors that we're playing with. I don't think the construction cost is or kind of design cost is really the overriding factor in this case for why we want to do it, construct it next year.
But can I say that?
Mention, Jim, for that you don't know, this project is going to be funded through the tax incremental district, that is the Sub-Zero and Promega district there. And the sooner we put this project in the district, in the tax incremental district, the better it is, you know, because we need to create a, you know, we need to, eventually we need to create the increment to pay for all of this infrastructure. So, and the sooner we put it at the beginning of it, because this is a relatively new tax incremental district, the sooner that we put those projects in that, we have more time to pay off for them. So, and also we had to be aware of the grant that we got, because some of the grants, they have an expiration date, you know, maybe Mike can explain that too, but there is a lot of variable that that we need to consider when we decided to, you know, to extend or postpone a project like this, specifically when it's funded by several buckets, you know, with grants, tax incremental district, and all that.
Yeah, and I get that. And what I'm trying to do is just try to keep it simple. So bottom line is, as we look at the overall picture, and as we hear what Mike is saying, there is going to be an economic harm if this is not done, is the bottom line. Am I correct on that?
Well, the process already was put it in the CIP a couple of years ago, you know, and now it's Promega. You know, Promega is, you know, we already told Promega that we were making this big project and road construction, you know, and this is what they are also, we have an industrial park there that they need that road to be reconstructed and modified. So, you know, it's not only, so there is also, we need to take in consideration that too, you know what I mean? It's like, we need to fix it. The road is going to be fixed, period. If the question is, you know, how it's going to look like, or what are the components that they're going to have. This is, I think, that one is, or how many trees we are going to remove. I don't know. But this road, I don't know, you drove this road in the winter, is dangerous. You know what I mean? And if we are going to have all this traffic coming from Promega or more, or the, the increase of activity coming from the west, from Verona, and it's not a matter of we need to fix it. We already decided that we are going to fix it. Is now the idea is that we should be, working in the time frame that we have. You know what I mean? So I don't know, Mike, do you want to add something about?
I would just add, we've already delayed it by a year. Originally, it was supposed to be constructed this year in 2021, and that was a commitment that we had given the companies. They're working with us and understand that now. We've already updated the developer agreements for a completion date of December of 2022 for it. But both of their facilities, their new facilities, the Promega manufacturing and then also the Sub-Zero engineering and design facility, will be occupied and operational both definitely by the third quarter of this year and everything. So those employees, that truck traffic, will all be funneling through that area there. So I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that this project, gets reconstructed in 2022 and we get it done so the transportation network is in there to service those facilities and those companies. In addition to, again, some of that residential growth, that'll start to happen on the south side of Lacey Road as Payne and Dolan starts to come forward with their subdivision on the south side.
Yeah, and I must agree with Julia that road is dangerous. It must be done. It only takes to look at one snowstorm. As I travel that road, and you'll see a car or two off the road. I have a friend who actually drove off the road and hit a tree, totaled a car. So that road, no matter what, has to be done. There is a considerable safety issue there that I'm very well aware of. So I agree with you, Julie, on that.
Mark, do you have a question? Yes.
Yeah, I just have an observation for Andrew. Andy Potts raised the comment about the intersection. While we plan this, we've got to look at the bike crossing there because it's very close to the intersection. And more importantly is there's advantages and disadvantages both ways, stoplight as well as, but whatever you do, Andrew, please take a look at that about how it crosses, whether we add lights or whatever. But again, as traffic increases, you're going to have folks moving through there differently. So I agree with what the new alderman said about the road. It's terrible and needs to be fixed, but we got to look at that too as you make your plans. So again, I know this isn't the bike committee meeting, but it does impact it. So thank you.
Yep, both the trail and the Badger State Trail, I think, will be very important to get that right as we redesign that intersection.
Okay, any other question for Andrew?
So Julia, I'm just gonna make a quick comment. There is another resolution out there that hasn't been acted on. It pertains to the Badger State Bike Trail. We are working with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, who actually owns the right-of-way, and they lease it to the DNR, and it's also part of the Rails to Trails. So we have to work with 3 entities to get permission to do work there. And it's been delayed due to the fact that the person who writes the permit recently retired. However, the DOT is bringing that person out of retirement to work on our permit. So that has been tabled. And Andrew is going to a joint meeting to talk about our project on the 28th. So you guys can expect to see that come back whenever she gets the permit or agreement finalized. Did I miss anything, Andrew?
Nope. I think the 2 elements to that is anytime we cross a trail on what could be a future rail connection, they'd like to kind of check that out so that it doesn't conflict with potential future rail. For example, getting it close enough so it's just one crossing. Then the other element would be what the actual crossing of the Badger State Trail is, on the what's that right of way, that rail right of way. So those are kind of the 2 elements that we'll be working through with them on agreements from maintenance and if again just all in the kind of this perspective of what if that eventually turns back into rail. So hopefully that helps.
The other thing that I want to for the Fish Hatchery Road, because that one is coming through my district now, and there are a lot of Spanish-speaking people living there. When some of these announcements are going up, can you also translate into Spanish?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I can look into what translators we have.
Yeah, I can see everything is in the all the email that I am receiving, all the posting in Facebook, in the for the Fish Hatchery is in English, but we have a big Latino population living in that, where now is going the construction. And it will be nice if we have some, I think that, not everything, but I think that when there are big changes, like a change lane or closing, you know what I mean? If we can have it in Spanish, I will appreciate that, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Any other question for Andrew?
I just want to thank Andrew for coming out this morning and giving us an update on the road construction projects. He's got a full plate right now and a lot going on, as you can hear with the various projects.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So thank you, Andrew. Yes. Okay. Next, yes.
We need to go back and approve the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Wait a minute.
Agenda item number 5.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the minutes from March 25th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Okay, all those in
Go, Andy.
Any question? Too late. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nay, the motion carries. Okay, sorry guys, okay? So we don't have any public appearances for non-agenda item. It's too late. So we move on. So do we want to go to the Economic Development Director update, or we want to go to the, what we need to do, the election of the officer now? What do you want to do? I wanna,
You're in charge.
Okay, I wanna go to, okay, so let's do that, and then we have half an hour to go, and Mike can give us an update. So, so the next item on the agenda is to the election of the officers. So, do we have any nomination? And according to what Joyce told us at the beginning of the meeting, there is a term limit for the chair. So, there was a nomination from Dan Hardy. Dan, you continue with your nomination?
I didn't revoke it, yes.
Okay. So we have a nomination on the table. So for Andy Pott to be the chair. And I will put a nomination for Jennifer Clary to be the vice chair.
I second that.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays. Okay, the motion carries. So I don't know, Andrew, you want to take over the meeting now? Or do you want me to finish my last meeting?
You can finish your last meeting.
Thank you. And I want to mention that I'm going to be with you for 2 more years. So, okay? So I am not going anywhere. Okay, so thank you, Andrew.
I don't approve that.
Oh, we approve it.
I'm voting against you staying on for 2 years.
Oh, my Lord.
I make that motion.
Okay.
That motion is out of order, I believe, Joyce.
Joyce, we can't see your face, so I don't know if you're smiling or not.
You are not a member.
She's smiling.
I'm laughing, actually.
Okay, so welcome Andrew and Jennifer. They are the new officer for the CIDA. So next, we have the next item on the agenda is the Economic Development Director and Committee Members Report Update. So Mike, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. In addition to the Payne and Dolan subdivision that I referenced already, that'll be coming up on the May Plan Commission agenda. A couple of other items are Promega's USONA Institute, which is the nonprofit institute that will be doing research and kind of therapy in the drug discovery area for depression and anxiety. So that's on the northern side of their Fitchburg Center campus. In the Fitchburg Tech campus at Nobel Drive and Fish Hatchery Road, we have a 40-bed, about 40,000 square feet physical rehabilitation hospital that Encompass Health is bringing forward on those two lots south of Nobel Drive. That facility then could be expanded in the future to 80 beds and approximately 80,000 square feet. We've got the Fitchburg Townhome project coming forward on Lacey Road at Notre Dame Drive. That's the John DeFibre project there. That's going to be about 47 Fitchburg townhome units at that location. The Fawside property, which is the clean fill site between Highway MM and Highway 14. That's where we had created tax increment district number 11 some years ago. Royal Capital Group, the group that redeveloped our Maple Lawn apartments, have that property under contract and are doing some due diligence and some visioning, and we'll be bringing forward plans for that development. The Limerick Affordable Senior Housing, and then there's about 30 all-age units north of Lacey Road, just east of Sain Road, is starting up and mobilizing at that site. We've also been finalizing some of our conversations with Quick Trip for the corner of East Sherrill Parkway and Sain Road. That would be the southeast corner there. That store will be a 2022 construction to coincide with the reconstruction of Sain Road. There will be a TIF request there to help with the environmental remediation on the site and demolition and site preparation. So they're working with Ellers right now to prepare those documents. If you've been down Fish Hatchery Road recently, the Terrace Point apartments are nearing completion. They're still looking at an occupancy of June. I think they've already got 40 units leased up of the 157 units, and then there's approximately 10,000 square feet of commercial space. And Venture Capital, the developers of that property, will be moving their offices in on the south end of the commercial space, but there's still the north end that's available there. In Orchard Point over by Super Target, Quarry Ridge, the resort-style senior living, is building out behind Super Target. We've got another senior housing developer that's looking to take the other approximately 6-acre parcel right at Fitcherona Road that might bring another independent kind of assisted memory care property over there. So we've been having some conversations with them. And then the Limestone Ridge, which is the workforce affordable housing development behind Hy-Vee, is fully mobilized and starting to come out of the ground behind the Hy-Vee grocery store over there at Orchard Point. We're also working with other senior housing developers. We've got one that's looking at lots 53 and 54 in around McKee Farms Park. And then we're also working with the Marquardt development on their Riversong development in Terra Vesta with Phil Sveum. That one needs an ordinance update for our smart code zoning that our planning department, our city planner, Sonia Kriesel, is working on before that one would be able to come forward. A couple of other updates on the AMC theaters for you. That is one that was impacted obviously by COVID and has been closed. We're hearing that they will look to reopen sometime in June. We don't have an official date yet, but we're in communication with them, and it looks like they'll be relaunching and reopening those theaters in June. And then Joyce and I have both been working with our postal contract station. As you know, Sue's is no longer affiliated with Hallmark, and John plans to close Sue's Gifts there. Right now, the postal contract station will stay open through the next tax extension date of May 15th. And we're working with the postal officials and also potentially with a new operator where it would allow for the postal contract station to be transferred to this new operator. That operator is doing some due diligence to see if they definitely have interest in taking over the contract. If they would decide that they don't, then the postal contract station would probably close for a while, and we would have to go through a full-blown RFP process with the Postal Service to identify a new operator of the contract station. So we're working diligently on that, trying to hopefully come up with the optimal solution where it can just be transferred to this new operator to keep kind of a continuous operation so we don't shut it down at all. And then Discovery Storage, which is north of Saris, that's building out. You can see that project from the highway. I think they're looking at occupancy sometime in the middle of summer for those vertical storage units at that property. And then Park Bank will be taking occupancy of their new bank branch at Greenway Cross and Fish Hatchery Road. They're looking at June. And you can see already their sign is up now, and then they will have a co-location with a Starbucks coffee shop and that one as well. I think that covers anything. Any questions?
Yeah, Jennifer has a question.
So yes, thank you. So there's two questions that I have. So I think that we're doing a great job with the senior housing initiatives that we have in Fitchburg. But one question I have is, or a comment, is I do a lot of appraisals where the senior population's moving out, and a lot of them are targeting the Cottage Grove development, the one above 1855. And I'm curious to see, like, example, there was Brooklyn, Oregon, Stoughton, and quite a few of them are targeting that specific area. And I was wondering if there's a way that we can reach out to that specific facility to see what they're doing to attract this population to come there, because I do think that we have a lot of similar urban and suburban, and I'm wondering why they're getting a high occupancy in what they're offering and attracting.
Which development is that, Jennifer?
Cottage Grove, 1855, right above the Bar and Grill. There's a senior housing right above that. And people from Lodi, Stoughton, Brooklyn are all from various locations are moving there, and they're happy with what's going on. And I'm just curious, because we have the golf course, we have, a lot of amenities within walking, driving, and I'm just curious to see what they're doing in comparison to what we have to offer.
I guess we'll have to check on that one. I'm not familiar with it, so we'll have to get some information and just kind of see, what their facilities are like and what amenities and services are included, over there.
Yeah. And the second one is we have that vacant gas station on Fish Hatch, and I was just curious, what is the plan on that property?
Are you talking the former BP in Bowman Plaza?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We, the mayor and I met with Andy Bowman just about 2 weeks ago to get an update on that. And as you know, that C-Store is closed. Quick Trip is not acquiring that property from their acquisition of Stop and Go, so that real estate remains with Andy Bowman. And he's willing to work with us on redevelopment of that property. So one of the things that I'm looking into is possibly getting a community development reinvestment grant from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to do some visioning for that property that maybe would ultimately lead to where we would issue an RFP process working with Andy Bowman for redevelopment of that parcel. And as you may recall, we've been doing some visioning for that corridor with Vanderwall and Associates, and that's one of the prime redevelopment sites that would be up there. I think the next step that I want to do now is, now that we've met with Andy Bowman, I want to reach back out to the church up there to have a conversation to find out if, would they be willing to work with us on some visioning for their property, because then you've got a larger acreage, and we can kind of maximize more of the redevelopment potential if we had both the church property and Bowman Plaza together. But I think what I've heard from the church before is they don't want to just sell their property and go and relocate someplace else. So the visioning would need to include a scenario where the church would be back there in the end. And so I want to reach out to them to find out if under that scenario, they would be willing to collaborate with us and also with the Bowman property through a community development grant kind of visioning process. So I'll keep you posted on that. I've had some conversations with Jason Scott at WEDC, and it seems like we could qualify for one of these grants. And we haven't done a process like this. You know, Madison has done a lot of that on South Park Street, where they've done some property assemblage and some visioning and then have issued an RFP. We wouldn't necessarily look to go and acquire the property, but if we had some landowners that were willing to collaborate and be cooperative with us to kind of issue an RFP if we did some visioning, we'd like to try and go that route and do that process.
And also, Mike, that corner is in the opportunity zone area too?
The west side of Fish Hatchery Road from Greenway Cross down to Post Road, and it's just the west side, is in a census tract that qualifies both for opportunity zone, and it also would qualify for new market tax credits if there was a development entity that had access to both of an opportunity zone fund and also to an entity that had an allocation of new market tax credits. And then, as you recall, we also have tax increment district number 10 up there that's in place. So we're probably going to need to layer multiple financial tools to drive redevelopment of some of those parcels up there and to maximize, again, the kind of development potential that we're looking for to help pay for the reconstruction of Fish Hatchery Road up there.
I have a question, Mike. I saw that those property on Lacey Road, there were like two houses between Seminole and Ficherona. They are already sold. Do you know what is the prospect for those?
That would be the Richardson property on the south side of Lacey Road that's been for sale. We know that the property's under contract and it's sold, but we don't know who has acquired that property yet. So we're trying to get some information to find out who actually acquired that property. I know a couple people that it's not, because I've already asked them if they were the ones that acquired it, but I haven't figured out exactly yet who definitely has acquired that property.
Julia, those are in the urban service area? Just an FYI.
Those properties are in that neighborhood that I referenced when we were talking about the Lacey Road reconstruction. They're included in that South Stoner Prairie future urban growth area that would have to go through a neighborhood plan process and ultimately go to CARP C and DNR to be added to the urban service area. That process would probably take us at least 2 years, maybe 2.5 years to go through.
And when we are going to start with that process, Mike? Do you have any idea?
We've had some internal conversations that we would like to launch that process. We've been kind of waiting to see maybe who got that property under contract, the Richardson property, because we would be looking to have the property owners participate in the cost of launching the neighborhood plan and going through that process. Payne and Dolan owns some additional property that is outside of the urban service area, so they would be one. And now if somebody does have the property under contract or has acquired the Richardson property, we would be reaching out to them to see if they would be willing to participate with us in a cost sharing.
Okay. So any other comment, Mike, that you want to make?
I don't have anything else to report. Any other questions?
So, okay. So the other thing is, we know that, Jennifer, do you have anything to report from the housing subcommittee?
We haven't met since last time we talked.
So when are you planning to meet? Do you have any idea?
Joyce, do you know by chance?
It's coming or?
June.
Okay. The other thing that is that I forgot to mention, and we need to understand, that I talked to Joyce the other day, is that CEDA have a representative in the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, and that person is, it has been me, and I would like to ask you for your renewal, if I can continue working with the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative Subcommittee, and those I need to report back to you, and I am planning to report back to you in the next in the May meeting of what happened this year. We are already awarded the new grants for 2021, and I'm going to give you an update on which are those organizations and what they are doing in the city. So, but my question to you is, it was brought to my attention that I need to, to renew, or see that how to authorize if I want me to continue to be in that subcommittee, or if there is any other person that want to do it. So.
Julia, we should probably put that as an agenda item for next month.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So we can do that and discuss that next month. Okay. So any other thing? So we covered everything, city motion, development update. How much money are in the left in the revolving loan, Mike?
In the entire revolving loan fund?
Oh, in the one that we use for the, for the business loan, how much was left there?
I think we still had, probably close to $100,000.
Okay.
A little more than that.
So my question to you and to all of the members, should we continue with that for this year in 2021?
We should talk about that at the next, it's not an agenda item.
Yeah.
So we should probably.
Oh, it could be an agenda item to discuss, but I think it's not part of the.
It's not venture debt, so we should probably add that for next time too.
But we have here venture debt program.
It's not venture debt.
It's business boost,
okay.
Julia.
Okay, so can we put that in the agenda for next time?
Yes.
Okay, so we can okay. What else? Anything else? Any other comment? Announcement? No?
You're trying really hard to keep us till 9 o'clock, aren't you?
No, I am asking question because some people, maybe I am looking at the chat, some people put it. So, so my other question is, I don't know if it's in the agenda or not, but what about with the, Mark, that you are in the Fitchburg Chamber, any update of the concerts in the park? Are you planning back?
I'll give you a real quick chamber update. One is, the one thing you should all know about, which isn't to answer that question directly, is there's going to be a Bike the Berg initiative this summer that's going to be coming out. That's going to be available and made for everybody. But secondly, I think she was talking about bike concerts in the park, and I'll look at Mike or Joyce here, in July and August. I don't think they're doing anything in June. And if they do have it, it still may have social distancing. Is that right, Mike and Joyce? We didn't have a chamber meeting this month.
I will
but Mike
say
or
that,
Joyce, have you? What?
I will say that we cannot comment on that right now.
Okay.
There may be some changes, so that's all I can say until we have a formal announcement.
That's why we haven't heard anything. Is that it's in process. But the other big thing we're working on, as I said, is the Bike the Berg, and I've been helping her with that. So.
Okay. Good to know. Okay, so I think we reach the end of the agenda and the meeting. So if there are no more comments or announcements, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Before we close, I will say thank you very much. It was an honor for me to be your chair for the last 4 years, and I want to continue working in this committee. That is, this is what my first committee, I think it was in 2014 when I joined this committee, and I really love it. So thank you and good luck to the new officers. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Nay. The motion is approved. So bye, people.